Sway in the Morning, Shade 45, Fire Friday Cypher. The first to do it every single Friday on any morning show. We're going to start naming the first now.
You should.
We start bringing these ciphers up. Now, everybody got a cipher. We're happy for you. Great.
We celebrating your biteness.
Yes. Good. If you copying us, that means you're going to be doing something good. So we said we're not going to just feature the DJs like we do every single day, and now everybody that's great too, pushing culture.
Yeah.
But also the MCs. Okay, everybody does that. Now we feature the producers as well. We've been doing that for a couple years. You don't believe me? Ask Mike Will made it. He been up here.
Don't tell me they doing that too.
Ask Diamond D. He's been up here.
Woo!
Ask Mark the 45 King. He's been up here.
Woo!
Ask Amadeus. He's been up here.
Rock me Amadeus.
The list goes on, and they will do it, Tracy, at some point. Go for it.
A teacher needs students, man.
Absolutely. Let's go. Okay, Sway in the Morning, Shade 45.
You my student.
And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, just discussing this with a few of the homies, including DJ Wonder, and we was talking about the legacy of this young man. A lot of folks got to know him first, probably in the early millennial, probably about 2004, 2005, when the Dirty District Volume 2 project came out. This guy easily, alongside J Dilla, has been really instrumental in helping to shape the Detroit sound. He has gone on to work with a slew of artists, from Pharoah Monch to Cannabis to Elzai to Danny Brown, Fat Cat, Black Thought. I mean, the list goes on and on. RZA, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. He continues this tradition of excellence with his music, but not just as a producer, Heather B, not just as a songwriter, but as a spitter as well. We've been trying to make this happen for quite some time, and now he's finally here. Give it up for the one and only Black Milk.
What up,
Black Milk.
That was easily the best introduction I done had. You know what I'm saying?
You know it.
I wasn't even on my A game today, Black Milk. Wait till you put me on your next album.
You're right. Exactly. Damn, man, that was crazy.
Yeah, you see how we did that.
Thank you.
Man, I cannot not talk about J Dilla.
Right.
You know, and I wouldn't necessarily say you his protege, but you've had a chance to really be influenced by a legendary music curator, man. What was that like, man, just being able to work in and around? What did J Dilla do as a producer that you noticed that others, that you went, damn, that's different?
I mean, you know, with Dilla, you know what I'm saying, like, it was one of those things where you didn't see him much, you know what I'm saying, because like most producers, you know, recluse, person that's in the house and, you know, antisocial, all that. So, but when when I did, you know, see him every few times, you know what I'm saying, coming up to the studio, whatever, like, it was like, to me personally, I was already in awe and already knew the magnitude of like his level of genius as a producer and as a beat maker even back then. So I was just like the God, you know what I'm saying, and then walked into the building. So, but yeah, it was just a thing where he was the only producer. Well, he was the first producers that showed other producers, you know, how far you can push the envelope and progress music. You know what I'm saying? Because at a time where like, you know, everybody was sampling like jazz, soul, funk records. He came through and was like, yo, let's mess with this prog rock. Let's mess with this electronic. Let's mess with this. Let's do some up-tempo. So he was just real experimental. He's one of the first producers that was like super experimental, and he like killed every style he put his hands on. So
Did y'all get to do hands-on stuff together? Like,
yeah,
the first thing rather that y'all did the hands-on stuff?
Man, it's funny you said that Dirty District project. I forgot about that. That was like a couple records on there I produced that he was spitting on, and then it was a Slum Village record called Reunion. Yeah, that he was like just spazzing on. You know what I'm saying? That I produced. You know what I'm saying? So once, you know, Dilla wouldn't have rapped over any beat that he didn't like. So just for him to just jump on one of my tracks alone is just like you know, you doing your thing. You know, I mess with what you're doing. So, yeah.
Black Milk is here, Heather B.
Making beats, doing production, however people want to phrase it, can get discouraging. Because a lot of times you can make music and you sending it out to different artists, even if you had success. Yeah. And then you go through that period where people aren't selecting your music.
Yeah.
How do you get past that? What's your motivation to say, you know what, I'm going to keep going. I'll live past this wave of music and I'll keep making my music.
See, I'm a like a slightly different case because I rhyme too, and you know, put out projects and all that. So I'm fortunate enough to have that to like, I don't have to depend on like all the time just getting the placement, you know what I'm saying, for records. But it was a time where, I was, just trying to hustle those beats. So
And
I don't know.
as a producer, you still care about making music.
Nah, I mean, that's still my number one passion. You know what I'm saying? So, and I still send music out to people and artists or whatever. But man, all I can say is just trying to. And this is gonna sound kind of generic, but just trying to just do the best you can at your craft and get as good as you can at your craft, because that's the only way, you can compete and get ahead of what everybody else is doing. And on top of that, just finding your own voice in music, and that's with production, rap, singing, whatever you do. Just trying to find your own individuality in what you do, and people will come, and that's how you stay around for a long time. So
Can we talk about the beauty of sonics for a second? Because for this album, Fever, you're using a 5 instrument band for the musicianship of it. Yes,
something like that. Yeah, I had the musicians, it was about 4 or 5 different musicians like on throughout the album that I was working with. So I kind of like include a lot of live instrumentation in my production. So that's just a thing I've been doing for a while.
Which is special to me, but I bring that up because a lot of beats that we hear right now, and it's been like this for a long time, people will use their computer to program it to design the beat. Talk about the difference in feeling from listening to creating a beat that's just off of, all of the synths on your computer versus the feeling of live instrumentation.
Well, I do that too, you know what I'm saying? Like I do both in terms of programming, with synths and, Ableton and, software or whatever. But I think the thing about live music, you can't duplicate like the fluidness of how a musician plays, you know what I'm saying? So even with that, I would take stems that musicians play, like guitar part, bass part, drum part, and I still would sample it and chop it up and make another track, so it still feels like I don't know, it's a certain feel that drum machines just give the music. Mm-hmm. So it had a fluidity of a musician, but still the bounce of like, some drum machine shit. So
yeah, man. He said stems. You hear that, Heather B? He in the studio. He don't realize he talking to. You got to break down what a stem is.
All that music talk.
I mean, it's just a stem is just like an individual track. Like if it was 5 tracks, a guitar track, a drum track, a horn track, stem is just like each individual wave. Form. So yeah.
I know.
I hope that was a little simple.
No, but we try to educate the audience. Deadly Medley was a song you did with Elzai and Royce the 5'9", right?
Right.
Was that the first time that you and Royce got together? Or
that was like the 3rd time. Okay. The first time we got together was a track called "Losing Out." Okay. It was on an album I did called Tronic. So that was like the 2nd time. So Royce is that's the big homie right there, and
But is he just a big homie? Like, speak to that Royce voice, like, because Detroit has such a rich MC history,
right?
And of course, we got the legend, iconic.
Oh yeah, pointing at me, so
yeah, Eminem looking at you like, don't screw this up on the station too,
right?
But what was it like? Being an MC got to be hard in Detroit because you got to really come with it. So when you're working with Elzai, you're working with Black Thoughts, you working with Royce the 5'9" as an MC.
Yeah.
Was that ever intimidating to you, or
no? Not for me personally, because every time I work with them, it was one of those things where and it's funny because when I see people like talk about a song that I have with them on it, they always of course they're gonna compare the verses, but I look at it as like I'm playing like point guard, and I'm just setting up the play to throw the alley-oop to, what I'm saying, the Royce or L, whoever I'm featuring, whatever rapper I'm featuring on the track, like, so I'm setting the tone and, I'm throwing it up for them to, dunk it, what I'm saying? So, yeah, I always go, and I'm not one of those people that, like, send over a track, wait for the verse to come, and then hear what they did and then do my verse. Like, every time I've done a track with Royce, it's one of those things where, like, yo, I'm going to write what I write, and, I'm going to be confident enough to what I do. I'm going to let Royce hear it, let L hear it, and they're going to do what they do. So I never think, like, man, nah.
You don't cheat.
You don't cheat.
Nah, I don't cheat. I don't like that.
I respect Black Milk because Diamond D, producer, who's also an excellent rapper.
Yeah.
Large Professor.
Wow.
Producer, who is also an excellent rapper. Kanye West,
Yep.
producer, excellent rapper. You know, the list is a few
A
of
lot
them.
of them.
J.
Eric-
Cole.
J. Cole.
Eric
yeah.
Sermon made his mark as an MC and an artist
Yeah.
exceptionally with EPMD, and then went on to start doing production for Red. Like he's incredible,
Yeah.
man.
Havoc.
Havoc, yeah,
Havoc.
Havoc.
Yeah.
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 Primo, he raps, but he don't let nobody hear much.
Preem.
Preem.
Yeah.
That's what I appreciate about you as well. That I could put you on that in that top.
That's dope.
I'm tired of the listing, but of my favorite producer / rappers, which brings me to this album, Fever.
Yeah.
Which when you listen to it, it's along the lines in terms of what I feel about you as an MC, a very highly skilled set MC who has substance in his bars. And this Fever project is really current to me, you know, in terms of how our mindset in our communities right now and what's going on in society, right? Was that your purpose?
Nah, I mean, yeah, that's why I named it Fever. Like it was a title that basically trying to just say the climate that we living in, you know, right now is just high. The temperature's high where we living in, not just in the country but in the world. So I don't consider it like a political album, but it's just an album that I'm addressing or showing that I'm aware of what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? I feel like any real artist should, you know, take the time to like address some of the things that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to be super deep or super conceptual, but you still just make sure, you know, let people know that you're aware of what's going on. So that's what the album is, just like my perspective, like observing a whole lot of conversations online, you know what I'm saying, about different topics of discussion, and kind of just like putting my perspective, you know, in there, or whatever I feel like that's not being talked about, or a perspective that hasn't been talked about, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Which brings me to a song, and the first song, well, a standout song for me was a song called True Lies.
Right.
Even the title of the song is alluring. And there's a few of the lyrics, man, I want to run by you, man, see if you could break them down. We call this the Lyrical Breakdown.
I don't get it. What exactly don't you get?
Breaking down the lyrics you may not understand.
What the hell did you just say?
It's the Lyrical Breakdown
I can break it down like whatever you want.
on Sway in the Morning.
Okay, with Black Milk, the new album is called Fever. It's out now.
Yes.
Buy your citizens. It ain't just about listening to them. It's about buying.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely need that support.
Spend
you
that
gotta
money.
buy. Okay, the chorus go, yeah, they told me to keep it pure, caught up in the allure, but see, that's not what I'm looking for. Wasn't sure, I wanted more.
Yeah, that's the hook. What I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, basically saying, you know, everything that I've seen or been taught, or any traditions, you know, whether it's from education or religion to even things you learn in the street, you know, having that gut feeling of is more out here, or is more to the story, I guess you could say, you know what I'm saying? And you know, taking that journey to try to find, you know, some kind of truth in you know what I'm saying, in all this shit that we live in. So yeah.
I'm gonna jump to the second verse since you brought that up about education.
Yeah.
Teacher, why you keep feeding me false information? Taught us just a way to keep me lost. Do you feel like the public school system, the lack of information that we get, or the abridged information we get, is diabolical? That's done on purpose?
I mean, I can't say if it's on purpose for a fact or not, but I do know, like, especially for our community, black community, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the stuff they teach us in the education system, you know, isn't really for our benefit, you know what I'm saying? So that was just one of those lines that, like, all of the lyrics on the album, I tried to keep it bold and like simplistic so I could get my point across. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of those lines where I felt, especially coming from a place like Detroit, and, you know, an education system that's like, you know, not that great, you know what I'm saying? And then just remembering and thinking about all the stuff that I was taught, and like, man, you know, and getting older and looking back, like, man, half of that shit I didn't need, or half of that shit was like bullshit, you know what I'm saying? So that's where that line come from.
Said you were here to make me bright, but you keep me in the dark. Told me to turn the chapter and remember everything you taught. Educated fool, that's why we hated school.
Yeah.
You hated school?
I wouldn't say I hated school, but at times, a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, I did, because it was one of those things where I feel like it's a system where, you know, they treat every student the same, or they try to educate every student the same. When that's I feel like that's an issue. That's a problem because every student that comes into school is like every kid that comes into school might have a different dream, a different attitude, a different background, different upbringing, is dealing with different things in the home. So it's like you got to treat each situation, each individual slightly different. And I know that's like even a bigger task, you know what I'm saying, but that's the realization of it.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important. And you mentioned this a lot too. What Jalen Rose is doing, he opened up some schools and everything in the Michigan area.
Dope.
And just trying to educate, talking about the same things you mentioned. You know, putting a home environment. In fact, that factors in a kid getting up every day and going into a classroom.
And I was lucky enough to like have both parents have like a pretty good upbringing, even though I was surrounded by all this other stuff, but so I was able to kind of stay a little more focused and maneuver through it. But I was definitely observant of like my friends and everyone else that was around me that probably wasn't as fortunate. So I'm
gonna continue. I guess I'm different. Have me venting about my teachers, but my preacher was no different. My preacher was no different. Mama picked up on tradition of religion. I knew it had to break tradition. Told Mama they lied to us. Did you really tell your mama they lied about religion?
Look, man, no. Yo, yes.
You told her?
And not necessarily, man, see, now we about to get in a whole different kind of conversation.
Well, you wrote it.
I did say it, but, discussing it, just talking about it is a totally different thing. But no, it's one of those things where you like, my parents was real religious. I grew up in like a real Christian type of household, with my pops and my mom. So it's, when you get older and you start learning different things and get exposed to different things and start thinking for yourself, you go back and you have those conversations with your people. And, sometimes and my pops is real like, by the book. So me and
was
him,
he a minister or a deacon or anything?
Man, damn near. So you saying he wasn't a minister though, but so me and him bump heads a lot on a lot of different things, and but my mom's is a little more open. You know what I'm saying? Is at a point where like she's a little more open to certain things and ideas, and now she's kind of questioning things. So that's kind of what that line was kind of like drawing from. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
All right, cool. They think you a heathen now, huh?
Nah, they don't think I'm heathen. Nah, I'm still spiritual, but I'm more like I'm not blind. So,
If There's a Hell Below was an album you did. What did they think of the title?
Who, my peoples?
Yeah.
Damn, man, they don't trip off what I do. Yeah. They love it. They love what I do. Like they come to the shows too. Like when I do shows in Detroit, like. My mom's would be right there up in the balcony, or like, they'll be up there watching me, and I do what I do, say what I say. You know what I'm saying? She might even censor herself a little bit, like, but she still be.
She turn up. Your mom
turn up.
Okay.
She proud. She good.
All right, Black Milk is here, man. We're gonna take a few calls. 888-742-3345. Give out your social media, man.
Oh yeah, Black_Milk on the IG, on the Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Shout me out, hit me up, keep up with me. So yeah.
Here's True Lies, the song we just broke down on our Lyrical Breakdown. Sway in the Morning, Shade 4-5.